more about the arrest of the woman accused of shooting and killing Ajiko Owens in Ocala last week. 58-year-old Susan Lorincz made her first court appearance today. She's charged with manslaughter, culpable negligence, battery, and 2 counts of assault. Deputies say Lorincz claimed self-defense because Owens was outside of her door.
How long have you lived in Marion County?
About 15 years.
Where did you live before that?
Down in Spring Hill.
Do you have any family here in Marion County?
Just my sister.
She lives here?
Yes.
Investigators say they were told Lorincz was harassing children and calling them racial slurs. According to the arrest report, at least one witness mentioned hearing Owens yelling about Lorincz taking her son's tablet. Deputies say Owens then knocked on Lorinc's door and demanded she come out. Now, later on this evening, loved ones are gathering to remember Ajiko's life in Ocala. TV 20's Zitlali Solache is joining us live from outside of the Immersed Church of Ocala. Zitlali, can you tell us about tonight's events?
Yeah, Ruel, organizers of the vigil are still setting up. We know that residents and family members of Ajiko, known as AJ Owens, are gathering here to honor her life. Deputies say AJ Owens was shot through a front door last Friday after an incident between her children and 58-year-old Susan Lorincz. Owens later died in the hospital. Lorincz was arrested on Tuesday night after protesters demanded she be charged. Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods said the process was delayed while they determined if the case fell under Florida's Stand Your Ground law. A memorial is happening in about an hour outside of Immersed Church of Ocala, which is organized by War Cry for Peace. Her family and community members will be near the basketball court to honor Owens' life and offer condolences to her children. Another vigil will be held on Monday morning at 11 a.m. where Reverend Al Sharpton is expected to address her murder. Live in Ocala, Zitlali Solache, TV 20 News.